everybody. Welcome to Perpetual Motion. I'm your host, Dr. Mo Anderson, and today I am so excited to have Phillip Quinones on the show. Phillip is a passionate advocate for mental health, a certified life coach, and the founder of PQ Coaching and Consulting. He's here to talk about his strategies for building emotional connections. So important. The perils of toxic positivity. I'm pretty sure I don't have that. And even his unpopular opinion on dating. So lean back and lock in. Here we go. Welcome, Phillip.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Mo.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Let's just jump right in. I want to start with you sharing a bit about your background and why you chose to become a mental health professional.
Yeah, great question. So, mental health was probably not the first route that I chose as a profession. It's a lot of happenstance in my life. Growing up, I had a lot of mentors that were very keen to me and took to me when I was younger because
Mhm.
of my athletic discipline, my advocacy for just seeing the bigger picture of life. So, having an old soul. So, I've always connected with older people. And some of those older people were in the psychology realm. So, either in social work, doing therapy themselves, some type of teaching position. So, when we had those type of conversations, it kind of molded me to just have this intuition, to have this discernment, to have this light years ahead of my chronological age type of perspective. And so as I was coming up finishing high school and decided to go to Georgia State University, it took about three majors for me to end up in psychology. And that was just literally because I just wanted to graduate. I didn't have a long-term picture of
I feel you.
what I wanted to use with that degree, but then you learn very quickly you can't do anything with an undergraduate degree in psychology at all. So after graduating, I did an audit of myself and said,
Mhm.
what can I do day in and day out that if I wasn't being paid for it, I would still do it. That would be financially feasible in the long term. And then also, who am I as a person, my temperament? What do I like to do? And I noticed that people always like to have these very vulnerable and passionate conversations with me about the things that they were going through their life. I know that I'm an extremely introverted person, so one on one is my forte. And
Mhm.
then I like listening more than I like talking personally. And I like complex, difficult um, problems to solve. And so
Mhm.
that sounded like a therapist to me. And so after undergrad, 6 months later, I was in my master's program at Bernal for clinical counseling psychology, and then have been doing therapy with many, many different types of clients and many, many different diagnoses of mental health since then for about 3 years now. And so currently I run my own coaching and consulting that involves improving people's conscientiousness in their life to manage their emotions and solve their problems. And then I still see individuals and couples and families in many different full-time and part-time positions at different private practices or
Mhm.
inpatient treatment facilities.
I love that. I love that. And I've interviewed a number of people in your profession, and I am happy to see the age trending younger and younger as well. I don't know if everyone came to the conclusion to choose this profession the way you did, but I'm happy to see more diversity, at least in my circle, more diversity, whether it's age, gender, or what have you, and that people have more choice.
Right.
Thank you for taking that leap because we need it, especially these days.
Of course, of course.
You've taken a holistic approach to mental health. Can you explain what that means and how it differs from conventional methods that we may be more familiar with?
Yeah, holistic can also be the word eclectic. So in therapy, what we do is simply put, we process human change.
Hmm.
And change is very uncomfortable for human beings in general, whether that be physically, whether that be mentally, emotionally, whether that be in your livelihood, or whether that be in your environment. Change is extremely uncomfortable. And so what we do is facilitate that change. And so since Freud started this, or at least was given credit for, because people have been doing this before him, that we can process train from the unconscious all the way up to the cognitive and conscious part of our existence. And so a person that sticks to one type of orientation to facilitate that change would be somebody who's not necessarily as holistic as somebody else. They're very strict, they stick to the book, they make sure that their sessions or their programs or their events, whatever you want to call it, is
Mhm.
tailored or facilitated through that one type of orientation. When I'm a holistic type of person, I like to pull from many different things that I
Okay.
personally like, and then also that I've seen that works based on who that person is, based on the problem we're trying to solve, and based on what we're trying to change. So holistic means that we're looking at everything. So yes, we're looking at the psychological, mental part of your life and the thing that you want to change, because maybe you're suffering from some type of mild, moderate, or severe negative feeling or experience within yourself.
Mm.
But we also have to look at everything else. What do your finances look like? Are you managing your nutrition? Are you eating healthy? Are you being physical, because we're
Mhm.
animals? You need to move. Are you exercising? What is your relationships like with your platonic friends? What's your relationship and influence maybe as a parent? And definitely what's your influence and how it's affecting you with your romantic partner? What is your job situation like? What is handling that type of stress look like?
Mm.
So I don't just ask you about, hey, how do you feel? And you've been feeling this for a while, and I see that this is not working for you. And let's talk about our emotions, our metacognition, and let's label this feeling. Yes, that is about 50% of it, but we need to look at the other things that are perpetuating those symptoms in your life, because those things are important. And what I've noticed in my novice experience so far is that when you take a holistic approach, people underestimate how those other facets of their life are perpetuating the negative experiences that they're having. So I take time with my clients to go through all that, because maybe again, it's not in the conscious. Maybe they just underestimate it or they overlook it, but I
Right.
don't with them. And so that is a great way to be holistic with the client as we're trying to prepare for outcome and improvement of their life.
Absolutely. I love that. And I guess that's the approach my last therapist used, because one of the things she pointed out to me that we discussed was my sleep, my rest,
Yes.
to add to
Yeah.
that list.
Absolutely.
And because I wasn't getting enough sleep, I was irritable. That was impacting my relationship, my productivity, my performance. And, it was an easy fix. And
Yeah.
here I'm thinking it's all these other things, and I was just tired.
You're right. Exactly.
And how that
Exactly.
impacted my hormones. And,
Yes.
then
Yep.
I started doing my research, and I have a background in biology, but
Okay.
professional people, we tend to think we know everything, and we don't. I know everything
No, we
about what
don't.
I know.
Exact.
That's where
That's a
I
great
am.
way to put it. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I like that. And I didn't realize that. Thank you for explaining the difference, because we don't know your profession, and people might prefer one approach or another. And now they can ask the therapist, what is your approach to mental
Yes,
health?
and yes, that's a great question that anybody who's thinking about doing therapy, one of the things I recommend is asking them what type of orientation and approach do you
Mhm.
take? Because some people don't like the structure, some people don't like that, and actually some type of diagnosis, not to say it's unhelpful, but not as efficient with certain type of diagnosis, depending on what the orientation may be. But ask them, and it's important because 50% of your progress is the therapeutic relationship that you have with this person. If you
Mhm.
don't like them and you don't like how they do something, your results would be very minuscule, and we don't want that. So I always recommend for that somebody who's contemplating about going to therapy or still searching for a therapist to find to attend to themselves.
Great advice, great advice. And in that same vein, you also focus on emotional connection strategies. Can you share an example and tell me why these are so vital for both personal and professional success?
Absolutely. So all we are vessels of feelings and
Mm.
emotions. And so even though that's synonymous, I like to make it very simple for people. A feeling is your body's response to a experience internally.
Mhm.
A emotion is an expression on the outside of your body. So even though it's very synonymous,
Right.
you have to be able to identify, is this a feeling, and an emotion is a behavior in response to that feeling.
Oh,
And
wow.
so being able to just simply put that, whether I explain that to a child that way or I explain that to a 90-year-old person, that is the difference between a feeling and an emotion. So why is that so important? Well, most of the time, especially in my profession, people don't know you're actually living life 66% of the time through negative feelings. And that is very surprising for people because foundationally, 4 out of our 6 emotional, or you can say feelings, are negative. And what does that mean? It means people are getting frustrated because they think that they need to operate within the positive emotions that, sorry, positive or or positive feelings that they're having within themselves and keep chasing that. What I do is say, no, we need to have a relationship with how you operate with your negative feelings. It's okay to have negative feelings. People are like, wait, what? I can, it's not wrong. No, what we don't do is we don't put morals and we don't put labels on feelings. If you don't feel that way, you don't feel that way. If you behave this way and express it through an emotion, that's how you express it. But that doesn't always mean that it's beneficial. So I try to teach people to have relationship with their negative feelings. You need to be able to operate within your negative feelings because chasing the fleeting feelings of positivity will not be able to sustain you. It is fleeting, just like hunger. Once you eat, you're not hungry anymore. So we need to be able to have a relationship with that. And a lot of people have not been taught that as children. And at some point in time, they need to find somebody, if they want to improve in their life, how to be able to manage that for themselves. So that's what I facilitate through my type of style of either coaching or my style of doing therapy. And that's so vital because we need to know that our relationship with our feelings does not have to equate to the results of those feelings. And that's a different part of the brain that manages that feeling. And it's a
Okay.
different part of how I think about those feelings, which is your executive functioning frontal lobe part of your
Mhm.
brain. We can increase what is happening in the front part of our brain to manage the natural experiences that we are interpreting through our body with our feelings. So
Okay.
that is why I facilitate that.
Interesting. Interesting. I've never heard it explained like that. And I'm not sure if this is related. I'm following you, but this is a whole new realm for me. Is this part of why people make snap judgments when they meet new people or see new people? Because if I do that, I feel like it's a negative thing and I'm upset with myself for doing it, but I don't act on it. But what if that makes sense, when you see somebody and you just make conclusions about them? I know it's bias as well, but sometimes it leads to the way people behave and interact with other people.
Absolutely. I think if it's an intrusive type of thought,
Hmm.
we all have them. And it's okay that we have them because that is our way of our mind detecting something that we detest, detecting
Hmm.
danger, detecting fear,
Right. That's it for me.
detecting that, yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
a
you're
fear.
receiving information very quickly. And so whether it's unconscious, subconscious, like you're looking for those type of things, then that's just based on an animalistic part of our brain.
Hmm.
So now, as we think about it, you need to determine what your level. Okay, is this something that I have a pattern for? Is this interpretation or this information beneficial or not beneficial? Is this something having to do with me that I am projecting on to other people? And usually there's a pattern of an environment, certain type of qualities, certain type of person, certain
Hmm.
type of experiences that
True.
have shown you whether or not you are having a response or you are having a reaction. We need to be able to respond. Hey, I have an intrusive thought of somebody. I looked at how they dress. I looked at their watch. I looked at their car. I looked at their resume. I looked at their skin color. I looked at their gender. I
Hmm.
looked at all these other things and I made a judgment. Okay, cool. But I don't have to act on it like you said. But I'm finding myself having a feeling more moderate and more severe internally. And either that is being expressed through my emotions in some type of
Hmm.
way that is not benefiting them or that is not benefiting me. And so what we do together is we go through and say, what are you reacting? What are the principles from that? What is life trying to
Okay.
show you? What is life trying to teach you? Because that's your mind's way of saying we need to change something,
Okay.
because we need to get you from reaction mode, which is survival, attacking, defense, fear, anxiousness,
Hmm.
getting you to just respond. be mindful, be grounded. You can still
Wonderful.
have the same feelings to the
Okay.
person, but be able to express those in a way that's more beneficial to yourself and in the macro, more beneficial to other people.
Got it. Got it. And as you were saying that, I thought about it often in professional situations or when I don't feel safe. So I'm being hyper vigilant, and there's been a lot of toxic stuff associated with my professional career. So what you're saying really makes sense for me is that it's a protective thing, but I can't act on it. I need to network. I need to meet new people. I've got to go to different places I haven't been before. So this will help me process what's going on in my head because I'm like, what's wrong with you? This is a
Right.
room full of professional people. Why are you, anxious? And now it's all making sense. I love your analogies. I really do. I can understand them.
Right, yeah. I don't need to use big words. I need you to be able to understand what
Agreed.
it is that I'm saying to you. If not, then it's not useful information for you. So,
I
yeah, keep it
totally
simple.
agree. I'm never trying to impress the smartest person in the room. I'm trying to ensure everyone can understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And that's a mistake a lot of new speakers and educators make is trying to impress you with their big words. Uh,
Yeah.
you alluded to this before when we were talking about positivity, but there's a term you used which really just kind of blew me away, which is toxic positivity. I think you've addressed it, but could you expound on that a little more? Because it's a buzzword now.
Absolutely. It's one of those pet peeves in my profession. Even though there's so much more education, media coverage,
Hmm.
exposure to mental health, and it's growing exponentially, that's a pet peeve for where it is positive, negative emotions, or it's kind of like using the word trauma and depression and
Right.
anxiety.
Hmm.
Not everything is that. So, it's one of those things you have to kind of combat as a professional. But to answer that question,
Toxic
what
positivity.
yeah, toxic positivity. What is that? So, again, fundamentally within our core, a lot of people have been able to decide what it we operate foundationally from.
Hmm.
So, again, those are six types of feelings. Four out of those six feelings are negative. There's only two core feelings that we operate from that we experience going forward. So,
Hmm.
again, why would I try to convince somebody to fuel their life based on a feeling and based on a momentary point in time to operate from when most of your experience that you're going to have as a human being is negative? So it's this marketing advertisement that if it's not love, it's not a marriage. If it's not self-serving, then it's not beneficial for you. If you don't love yourself, then you can't operate.
Mm.
If you don't buy this or purchase this, do you really care about yourself?
That part.
Self-care, self-esteem. If it's not high, then you have low self-esteem. If you are going on a date and you don't feel this type of way, or they don't do this certain type of thing, or they don't say these type of words, or they don't have these type of things, then that's not somebody that you can sacrifice your time and
Mm.
vulnerability for to
Wow.
build a relationship.
Yeah.
If you don't achieve this type of degree, if you don't have these type of acronyms after your name, if you don't have this much money in your bank account, if you don't drive this type of car, have this type of house, if you're not in this certain SCS, then you should be. Why aren't you? So you're making people feel bad for operating within their natural state, and it's a very smart, manipulative way for advertisement and marketing for you to purchase and condition you services and products that benefit them because they play off of you thinking that you
Right.
getting something more, you not having delayed gratification and you need it now is going to bring out this positivity foundationally within yourself. And that is not true. And so you are interpreting these type of beliefs
Hmm.
and putting into these type of practices, and you're realizing that it's not beneficial for you, but you keep chasing it. And what I'm saying is, as you're coming to me and we're working together, you need to operate within the negative, have a relationship with that, relate to it. And
Mhm.
when you have those positive feelings, be mindful and absorb it. But we can't use that for the fuel to get to our destination. It's fleeting.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to maintain. So we have to create habits. We have to
Mhm.
have different thoughts. And that in turn will maybe minimize our negative feelings. But we're not trying to go from an extreme negative feeling of depression to try to get somebody to feel extremely euphoric. That's probably not going to happen. We need to get you to be in the middle to be all right. So you can discern, hey, I'm glad that I'm feeling a positive feeling today. I'm glad that
Mhm.
this experience or this person or what I did or this environment brings me that. But I also know that it's not going to last all the time. So I need
Right.
to have my behaviors and my actions stay consistent. And if they come, they come. And if those days that I'm down, those are the days I'm going to be down. So I think toxicity is a very self-defeating thing for people as they attend to their mental health and as we operate as human beings, because it's not something that is long-term beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see it so much in the beauty industry, and as you alluded to, marketing and advertising. And I guess it's really having a profound impact on our young teens and preteens who are exposed to it on social media, hindering their mental health. But yeah, I can understand that. And I love the middle. So I feel
Yeah,
like super high. I'm
right.
like, oh, this is gonna
Right.
fall. Even low, I know I can go up, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm loving the middle,
Right.
somewhere in the middle.
Right. That's where we
Um,
need to be.
yes, sir. Another label that gets thrown around a lot, both online and off, is narcissism.
Oh
Suddenly,
yeah.
everyone is a
Yeah.
narcissist. Anyone with boundaries or
Yeah.
tunnel vision or just on their ground, you're a
Right.
narcissist. Help us out here. What is the definition of a narcissist professionally, and is it really that common?
No. So let me answer the second question first. No, it is not common. In the general population, the prognosis of a narcissistic person is probably, I would estimate, around less than 5% of people that have
Oh
a
my.
true psychological professional diagnosis of being a narcissistic person. It
Okay.
is very rare. And trust me, I have clients that are foundationally textbook, that if they had to put a picture of a face, they are that.
They be on
And
the
so
poster?
they'd
Okay.
be on the poster. And so
Wow.
trust me, you probably have not run into a narcissistic person in your life. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, we can have narcissistic traits, but what I hear it mostly in the dating and relationship realm is, again, like you said, a person that is emotionally in tuned, that has boundaries,
Mhm.
that has been assertive in their communication with you and have attended to a problem that you have had to solve when it's not self-serving to you, when you don't want to take accountability, when you feel that because you don't want to make the sacrifice for the long-term game of that relationship, and when you also don't want to look at what your self implication to that problem or that dialogue is, you label this type of person, because labeling makes it seem like I don't have to take accountability for what I perpetuated and what I did in this relationship to cause this response or this reaction to somebody. And because we don't like to take that accountability, I'm able, as I move forward from that person, to then communicate to another person that that person was narcissistic or that person was the problem. But that is where your maturity has to come in and say, no, in that relationship, I was this problem. You may still not necessarily need to be in it and be beneficial from it,
Mhm.
but statistically, you have probably not met a narcissistic person. And so, what a narcissistic person is a self serving, self centered, grandiose person. And it is somebody who knows how to manipulate their environment, people, and feelings, having strong malicious influence in order to self serve their needs. And that could be somebody who gaslights you. That can be somebody who denies your feelings. That could be somebody who compartmentalizes you. That could be somebody who just uses you physically, emotionally,
Okay.
mentally.
Okay.
Somebody
Question. Let me
who,
jump in there. So,
yeah,
and make sure I'm on the right path. What I'm hearing is, and you talked about narcissistic tendencies, but in this case, the intention is to harm people. It's not just I'm self-absorbed, but a narcissist is actually manipulating words and feelings and so forth to harm the other person. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. And most of the time, in my experience with true narcissists, they're not aware of it. So
What?
that's why they're not aware of it.
Oh my
That's why it's a
goodness.
That's why it's a personality disorder. It's not a label, it's a personality disorder. They were
Wow.
born this type of way. They didn't become necessarily that. So you were born with this type of personality.
Mm.
An environment, nature, nurture type of argument. So, but what I say, no, this is really kind of how you adapt. This is how they survive the world. This
Hmm.
is how they survive. And what's popular about a narcissistic person is it's our interpretation from a professional standpoint or a
Hmm.
personal standpoint of what that person is doing, but they are not aware of it. That's just how they operate. It's great if you have a conscientious type of narcissism because we can improve that.
Hmm.
But fundamentally, that's still your personality. So when they're not conscientious about their personality and their traits and their behaviors, they're not aware of it. So our interpretation of, hey, do you have the same experience? Did they say this? Did they try to do that to you? They did that too? Me too. Like, okay, they say this often, they do that behavior, they project that very often, they always
Hmm.
talk about themselves, they never want to help people, they always compartmentalize. I can't talk. If a lot of people are telling you the same things about yourself, it's probably true. If people are dating you and having relationships with you and they're telling you the same things over and over, that's
Hmm.
not a coincidence. That is who you are. So they're not aware of it. We have to point it out, and our experience with them from multiple people gives them that perspective as well. So when I'm talking to clients that are narcissistic, well, what is other people's experience with you in that environment? What were their thoughts? Well, it doesn't necessarily matter because me. They're okay with it. Not really. I mean, I don't really see the problem with that. Okay. So other people's feedback to you is pretty much doing what my discernment as a professional does that. Like, for example, I had a client and I have a client now that this is how narcissistic they are. High SES, rich, entitled. They went to a doctor and that doctor diagnosed them as borderline personality disorder
Hmm.
and narcissistic personality disorder. And they were like, I think that's wrong. So they sued them after the
No.
intake. They
Are you
sued them after the
serious?
intake. You're right.
Wow.
That's how
Wow.
unaccountable a narcissistic person. I never heard that as of yet. That you sued somebody that had discernment of a label of diagnosing you, and because you didn't like it, you
But
sued them
that's
the day
HIPAA
after.
protected. It wasn't even going anywhere
So, and
until
guess
you
what,
filed that
bro?
lawsuit, and
Right.
then it became public information.
So
What?
when you came, and which obviously that probably got thrown out. So when you came to me, I'm like, I concur with her thing. I'm having one conversation with you, and this is who you are. And I'm not the type of therapist that is passive at all. I'm a very assertive type of person and type of therapist. So I'm like, no, you are this. This is what you are. And you are so immature and so quote unquote weak mentally that you don't want to take the accountability. So you want to use power and influence maliciously in order to avoid that. Oh, and trust me, so that was there. So I said it the same way. No, you are. Yes, you are this. You
Did you
will
get
always.
sued?
No, absolutely not. Because
Okay.
again, probably how I communicated it was
Right.
to their face. And I said, hey, look, don't come back if you don't want to change. I said, I will document that we need to be here because they were mandated to be there. But
Yeah.
I was like, don't come back because you're wasting my time. So my point
Wow.
is that no, if somebody's experiencing and tell you the same things about yourself and two professionals that only met you once and spent an hour with you have the same conclusion, it's probably true.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's interesting. And I'll add to that list of people telling you about yourself as your family members.
Yes,
Nobody knows you like them. And if
I,
your cousins and siblings and parents have all told you the
absolutely.
same thing, there's
Anybody.
not something wrong with all of them.
No, there is
You need
no
to
there.
reassess that.
Right.
I am loving this conversation. We're running short on time,
Yeah.
but I know anyone, and I hope a lot of people have hung in with us because this has been really, really good conversation full of tips and strategies and information to make your life better. But if someone is struggling with mental health and feels hesitant to seek help because there's still stigma in some communities and some
Yeah.
neighborhoods, what advice would you give them to overcome those initial barriers and get help?
Absolutely. I would say that if you are experiencing a feeling and going through your life knowing that something can be better for yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, relationship wise, job wise, if you, or even your physiological, your sleep, your appetite, how your body looks, all those type of things. If you know deep down that there is something that you need to attend to, it is okay to attend to it. So don't think as mental health is that much different than if you were to break your leg, you would go to the doctor to have them heal it. That is a
Yes.
physical type of injury. And it's okay that you are having emotional and psychological injuries as well. There's nothing wrong with attending to it. And this is for you. So I say very often, nobody was you, nobody is you, and nobody will ever be you. So you need to capitalize on what you would like your experience to be as you are continuing your time here on this earth. And it could be better if we attend to this injury. So don't let your culture, don't let media, don't let bad influences tell you that you don't need to attend to yourself so that way you can have a better experience with yourself and your relation to the rest of the world. And so I'm here to help. If you need me as a resource, you can go to Dr. Mo as well. That people are wanting to help you through that. Your teachers, your
Mhm.
elders, your mentors, your coaches, your life coaches, your therapists, your physicians, your nurses, all of these type of people are trying to help. Social workers, all these type of people are trying to help you in that type of way. So attend to yourself because you could be having a better experience with yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll just do one minor edit of that. Do not come to me. I am providing these wonderful free podcasts with
Right, right.
experts to help you, but I do not have a background in that. What I can help you with is speaking, speaker coaching, and speech writing. And being a speaker, that's what I do. But I brought
Gotcha.
on Phillip Quinones because he's a mental health expert, and he's going to tell you now where you can find him online to learn more about his coaching and consulting. How can they connect with you online and learn more?
Absolutely. So again, if you're a person that is stuck experiencing the same things, that just don't have a negative outcome, have
Mhm.
continuous negative feeling, have a mental block, seeing negative patterns, wondering where you are, if you would like that improvement of your life, if you want to improve your conscientiousness, if you want to be a better person for yourself, then you can find me at pqcoachingandconsulting.com. You can look at all the other podcasts that I've been on. You can look at the books that I've published, any of the trainings that I've published, and you can contact me through my number on my website, or you can contact me through the forum, or my personal email is also on the website. So pqcoachingandconsulting.com. I would love to help you and try to help you improve in your life.
Absolutely. And you've heard it here, folks. He is very passionate about what he does. He's assertive. I've had some counselors that just kind of sit there and they're real quiet. And how do you feel about that? And all that. I don't care for that. That may be what somebody likes, but I need
Right.
somebody like Philip, like, hey, hey,
Yeah.
you want to get better or not? So,
Right. Absolutely.
yeah. So, and if
Absolutely.
it's online, you can text. There's so many ways to get help now for people
Yes.
who may not have had access before. So please, please
Absolutely.
check out Philip. We'll drop that link in the show notes, and he's made himself available. You don't have to hurt. You are loved. People like me are praying for you, and I don't even know you, but I want you to be well. I want you to be happy and to contribute to our society. We need healthy, whole people. So
Absolutely.
thanks, Philip. Thanks again. And thank you, folks, for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. That's how you help me. There's no charge. That's all I ask you to do. And remember this, change your words and change your world. Until next time, thank you.